everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Isabel Palacios. If you're new here, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe to see more videos from me, and be sure to follow me on Instagram, and I'm on TikTok now. So all of those links are going to be available here and also in my description of this video. And this video actually is my second time recording because the first time the file got corrupted and I wasn't able to do that. So fingers crossed things will go well with this file and I can talk about this, because this is one of those topics that I'm very, very passionate about. And that is making your single life beautiful and making and enjoying and creating a single life and really enjoying your single journey as a woman, as a man, whoever you are. Singlehood to me is one of the most powerful, most underrated times in a person's life. And you can be single so many times throughout your life and there's nothing wrong with it. I always see singlehood as just a time and a chapter of your story, and it's not the end all be all. Just because you're single now doesn't mean you'll always be single, and there's nothing wrong with being single if you are using it to your advantage and you're using it for the right things and the right reasons and doing the right things with it. You can really enjoy it, and as you enjoy it and as you grow in it and as you have a beautiful experience in it, you will attract somebody to you who will align with this beautiful evolved version of you. And so before I met my now fiance, I was very much, 2 years before, I took about 2 years to be single, from my fiance to a toxic relationship that I was in for about 1.5 years or so. I forget, because a lot of times when we go through healing journeys, we don't really, it kind of like gets fuzzy, right? We move on and it's not so ingrained in our mind. So as far as the timeline, I remember when I ended that toxic relationship, which many of you who have been with me here since the beginning, you guys probably remember I would talk about this relationship quite a bit. And even though I never showed that person on my channel, I would talk about my relationship with him and things like that. So being single was a pretty difficult time for me in my early 20s, right? I saw it as something bad and something like, because I was in, situationships and things like that before I leveled up mentally. And so I, saw all that as kind of like a bad thing. And people would always comment like, why are you single? This and that. And deep down inside, I didn't feel bad being single. It was more so society and what I perceived to be society putting pressure on me to not be single, right? Society kind of makes us pine for relationships. Like if you haven't found the one, and we romanticize the one and we commercialize the one so much that, it's like a whole industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, dating and all this, right? So it's very much, especially when you're young, very much at the forefront. Not to mention nowadays with TikTok and social media, there's so many people giving their opinions on dating and all these things. So, I was obviously in my early 20s, I'm 29 now, but in the social media age where people were giving all types of things and men, and oh my goodness, like the toxic things I would see online was just, I still see it, but I, realized to tune it out. But so because I wasn't truly enjoying my single time and I felt bad about being single, or I felt some sort of shame, which I was 22, 23, I was that young, and I was, there's nothing wrong if you're that young, any age, there's nothing wrong with it. But I felt a huge amount of shame. So that shame was kind of like me not being healed enough, and me going through, and obviously I wanted a relationship. One of my goals, even though I didn't allow myself to admit that one of my goals and dreams in life was to, get in a relationship, get married, have children, all that stuff, right? I never talked about it. I always felt like I wasn't good enough, or something was wrong with me because I was single, or I hadn't found the one yet, which meant that I needed to go through healing and heal from situationships and these limiting beliefs that I had on me from, previous relationships and things that went wrong and this and that, right? So if I would have known what I know now, I would have taken those times, those early years, those, 21, 22, 23, 24 until 25, I would have taken those years and used them to, or I mean, whatever years, I'm not setting a limit. I'm not saying you have to find the one at 25, but I would have taken those years and I would have really just dived deep into the self-love, into the healing and all that stuff. So I didn't. Instead of doing that, I mean, obviously I was on a spiritual journey, but I hadn't been exposed to the divine feminine, to all these beautiful things that I know now, which is fine. Hindsight is 2020. But the reason why we want to use our single years, especially if you're young and inexperienced like I was, use your single years to be healing, to be about growth, to be about your spiritual life, be about your inner world, because you are less susceptible to being in a toxic relationship, which is what I ended up getting into around 22, 23 years old. And I was love bombed. I, fell really fast, and it was a long distance relationship at the time. That person was living in a country that he couldn't really travel out of. So I was constantly traveling to him. And it was just a really, really draining experience to go through so young. And obviously now I realize the error, but back then I didn't know. And that's because I didn't take the time to heal. As soon as somebody came into my life and showed me and was like, I'm ready to commit and I am, this and that, and I love you, and don't trust when someone says I love you so quickly, right? If I wasn't so hungry for love and so hungry for commitment and attention, I know that I would not have fallen into that toxic relationship. And I know so many of you out there can resonate with this. So many of you can feel that you relate to this because it happens so much and it happens more than we want it to. And that's what I want this video to be about. And that's why I'm being open about my experience, so that if you resonate, or if you come into this situation later on in your life, it won't be like, oh my God, this is love, right? This goes into my number one tip, which is use your single journey, your single moment, your single chapter. I don't care how long you've been single. Use this time to heal. Use this time to figure out what's going on within, why it is that you settled in the past. What did you carry on from yourself, from your childhood? What did you see growing up? What was your experience or your example of love and relationships? Do you even know what a healthy relationship looks like? Do you know what your ideal relationship looks like, right? Going and really diving deep into healing. And this is why I created the Goddess Reset program. It is my divine feminine healing program, self-study course. You can always access it down below. I'll even throw a coupon code down below for you guys if you'd like to enroll. But healing is so important because it brings us back to our baseline, to where we should be when it comes to our heart and ourself. Healing brings us back to ourselves, right? It's like when you go through a difficulty in life, or you go through trauma in life, or when you're little, right? You're told that, you're not good enough, or this and that, or someone breaks your heart. You slowly start to believe something's wrong with me, so I have to separate from my true self. So healing is actually you coming back and healing that separation and making that separation a lot less and coming back to your true self. That is my view of healing. That should be your main thing. Get so involved and enamored with the process of healing and not view it as something bad or negative. We all have things that we need to heal from, and if you have something to heal from, whether that's your parents' relationship growing up and you believe there's no good men or good women out there, that is something that you have to heal, because that's a limiting belief, and that's going to not only make your single time a lot worse and you feel bitter, but also make your love life with whoever comes into your life moving forward, it's going to make that a lot more difficult to have a loving, meaningful relationship with that person. Whether you've just become single last week or you've been single for a few years or a few months, take this as the sign that, wait, maybe there is something. Even if I feel completely okay and ready to jump back in the dating game, maybe there is something there. So I always say heal before you start dating somebody new after a breakup, because you don't want to bleed on your new person. And I say this from experience because there are still some things that I haven't healed from what I went through previously in my previous relationship. And sometimes I feel it come up, it's like a trauma response, I would say. Sometimes those memories come up, in my relationship now, and oh my gosh, it's a huge wake-up call. And it's just telling you that, healing is not a linear thing. It's like peeling away onions, and sometimes something happens and it brings something back. But when you become a mature and healed person and you become self-aware, it's not about being perfect and never feeling those feelings again, but it's about addressing them and asking, where is this feeling coming from? Where does it stem from? Why do I still have it? It's not about my partner now. It's just me. I'm still healing those aspects, and that's okay. And if you're in a relationship and things come up, it's kind of off topic, you talk about them with a therapist or your partner or within yourself or journaling, and you don't ignore those things. So if anything keeps coming up, or you feel like you keep attracting a certain type of person or whatever, you keep attracting people who are like your ex, then that means that something needs to be addressed and these things need to be healed. And people always ask me, well, Isabel, how do I know I'm healed? How do I know I'm ready to start dating? How do I know I've been single long enough? Because I always tell people, be single as long as you want, right? Don't put a time limit on being single. Don't put limits, which I'll get into in a little bit. Everyone has their own timeline. So trusting your timeline and trusting your journey, that everything is going to go as it should. Which leads me into my second point, my second tip, which is don't put pressure on yourself to be in a relationship, right? Don't feel bad about the amount of time that you're single. You can say, I'm just gonna focus on me for a year. I'm not gonna be dating. You can set limits like that, right? Timetables like that, but don't get caught up on time. We all have our own individual journeys. All of our lives, all of our circumstances are extremely unique to us. Even, we may have some similarities, but we're all going through our own things. So as long as you are making this a time where you're really enjoying your life and really enjoying going within and the self-love, the time won't even matter, because my goal is for you is that you enjoy being single so much that you don't even notice that you're single. It's just you living your life, right? So don't set a time limit on it. Don't feel pressured to fall, just because your friends are getting married or engaged or having babies or whatever, doesn't mean that you have to live your life by their timeline. I always say that we have to trust in God and trust in God's timing. And when we give it to God and we pray to God and we say, God, give me guidance. What am I supposed to be doing in this season of my life? And, make me feel good in this time. Make me feel at home, at ease during this time. You're going to see how things will go for you, right? A lot of times most of the time we have to hand everything over to the divine. So that's something I had to do, especially in my single journey, is just give it to God, right? And there was a prayer that I used to say. I used to say, God, you know my heart, and you know that I want a family, and I want to find the love of my life. I want him to find me, And so I would pray this every night, and I wouldn't tell people, right, that, oh, I want to be married, I want to have kids, because I would give that to God, and I would speak to God and say, please make sure that the person that you bring to me, person that comes into my life, the next person, right? I was single. Some few people tried to date me, a little bit before, but it just didn't work out. So I knew those people weren't for me. So I always prayed to God, please let the next person that comes into my life be the one. Don't make it confusing, which anything from God is not confusing. Everything from God is going to be clear and concise. If it's not clear and concise and it's confusing, it's not from God. So we always have to leave it to the divine and let the divine surprise us and bring miracles into our life. So if we put limits on us or we try to rush through life, we're not trusting in God. We're living through fear and through scarcity, which I don't want you to. My next tip is to make the most out of your life now. We waste so much of our precious time, our precious energy, waiting for something to change in our life, for waiting for the amount of money we want, for the job we want, for the body we want, for the car we want, to start living our life. When in reality, all that's doing is pushing your life out, right? When your life is right here. Your life is right here in the present, in this moment. As you're watching this video, this is your life. And this moment is all you have right now, the present. The past is done. You can't change it. You can't go back. The future, it's not guaranteed, right? It's a gift to make it into the future. It's a blessing. It's a privilege, but not everyone gets it. So that's why we have to start enjoying our life right now. I come across so many women, you know, in my coaching practice and in my day-to-day life, men too, that think that I don't have the one. How am I going to enjoy life? I keep waiting, I keep wishing, I keep praying, I keep hoping. And I always say, enjoy your life right now as it is. Make your life full. When you're single, you have so much more time to do things, which is a beautiful thing, right? Some people might feel lonely in those moments, but I see it as like, this is great, right? I want you to volunteer, to do charity work, to do more of your hobbies, pick up new hobbies, learn a new language, learn new skills, invest into, you know, something that's going to help you grow as a person, travel more, which is what I did after I ended that toxic relationship. I was tired of flying always to the same country, and then after I ended it, I was like, I'm going to travel all new places and enjoy it and have fun. And that's what I did, right? I traveled with my friends, with my family, and I became a new version of me. I evolved through enjoying my life and doing new things. I evolved into this woman you see today, right? And I learned so much about myself through travel, through doing the things that I enjoyed, through dressing in a new way, you know, because whenever I was in that relationship, that person didn't let me wear certain things out of, you know, jealousy, control, whatever it may be, his issues. And so I had to become a new version of Isabel. And during this time is whenever the divine feminine really began to call to me. I would say around 2019, I had an awakening in the divine feminine, and I realized, wait, I was heavily into hustle culture and, you know, trying to prove some kind of level of success because that person had put it in my mind that, you know, I wasn't successful enough or all these things, and I felt like I always had to prove myself and prove my worth. And the divine feminine awakened the fact in me that I can enjoy my life and romanticize it and live in leisure and be happy being me and not always having to chase an ideal or a body type or anything like that to make me happy and to make me feel fulfilled. All I had to do was go within and slow down my life and romanticize. And, you know, I was called back to the divine feminine through Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary and, you know, the early women of the Bible and Christianity. And it was just such a powerful thing for me. Some of you guys remember there was this very powerful Mary Magdalene book that I read. I will link it down below. You know, the feminine force taught me my worth and my value as a woman. It was beautiful, right? And I no longer felt like I had to, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I no longer felt like I had to compete for men, compete for men's attention, anything like that, right? And beautiful healing stuff. Through enjoying my life and all this, it brought back a new sense of me. So that's what I want you to focus on, is making your single time a time where you rediscover or you reinvent yourself, or you say, wow, I had no idea I loved all these things, or I was good at all these things, or I could start a new business if that's what you want, or, you know, move to a new city, or do something new with your time, not feel like you have to be tied down by anyone or anything. Because singlehood can truly be a time for you to enrich yourself and enrich your life and enrich your experience. And I want you to see it that way. We are switching the paradigms. We are, you know, going into a new paradigm, and we are shifting our perspectives to honor ourselves and honor our journeys and to be closer to God and the divine. I think that's the most beautiful thing that we can do. So your single time could be about enjoying, traveling, new things, or it could also be about enriching your spiritual life, you know, going to church more, or, you know, being more involved in your community more, or spending more time in meditation, being introspective, going within. And when you do this, you just feel so much more aligned with you. You feel at peace with yourself. You really do. And you no longer feel like, wow, I need somebody to be here to enrich my life with or to enjoy my life with. No, it's like I found everything here within in the present moment as myself. Wow, it's so powerful. So no matter what your ex might have put you through or anybody has put you through, you can heal from that and you can come back to a place of enjoying life again and being lighthearted. And I feel like when I got out of that relationship, my life was calling me towards more sunshine and brightness and just good things and good people. And that's when I really decided what I wanted and what I needed in a partner. So, and that's what God brought me. And it all came from that time where I realized what I wanted. A lot of times we have to go through things and we deal with things to realize what we don't want in life. So finally, we've talked about healing, we've talked about enjoying life, and I want to talk about as you're healing and you've decided to enjoy life and you've been single and you want to date or you want to find the one, don't get into that desperate energy. Right? You don't need to be in a desperate energy. You don't need to say, oh, I'm going to get on dating apps. You don't have to. If that's not what you want, I know people say, oh, I've done dating apps and they were very successful. Or I've done, online dating, whatever it is. But don't feel pressure to go on there if you don't want that. Be intentional when you begin to date or put yourself out there or you just decide, right? Dating and putting yourself out there, people think it's like, oh, I have to go out every weekend. I think it's more so doing more things, right? And taking classes and traveling and, obviously you want to be more social if you want to meet somebody that's, out in the real world that's not through an app. But I think it's doing things that align with you. Like for me, I always felt like I would meet the one traveling and I did, and I met people that weren't the ones traveling, but when I met my now fiance, I was traveling. And so that's what was the game changer for me, was that I set the intention that the person that I meet, he's going to have these certain qualities. He's going to enjoy certain things. He's going to be somebody who lives on the beach and loves the beach. And I'm going to meet them on the beach, right? And they're going to enjoy traveling and adventure as much as me. And they're going to be super happy and vibrant, and he's going to be a positive guy, an uplifting guy, and that's exactly what I wanted. And I set my standards, right? I set my standards high, and I said I don't want anything less than that, right? And I want somebody who's going to mesh well with my personality and who's, going to be a good father someday. And, all these things came up. And so I was in my divine feminine, and I worked, I was working through my divine feminine at that time, heavily into it, and, really at ease, laid back, not chasing anyone, not wanting to chase anyone, none of that, right? And just having fun, being me, and enjoying what it was to be Isabel, not in a desperate energy, I'm this age and I have to find the one. No, I was chilled and laid back, and that made all the difference, because when you're chill and you're laid back about things, and I don't mean like laid back about your standards or, don't be a chill girl when it comes to dating. No, you want to have your standards. But I mean, I was chill about finding the one. If somebody came into my life and, wanted to date me, I was, I kind of wasn't very responsive in that way. And you want somebody who's going to chase you, especially if you're into your divine feminine. You want somebody who's going to actually come after you and not only chase you by calling you and texting you, but somebody who's willing to do things for you, willing to show up for you, right? I didn't want a long distance relationship with, because of what I had gone through in the past. So what did my now fiance do? He would always travel to me. He moved here to be with me. So it was always like that for me and in our dynamic, because I decided it would be that way. So if you set your standards and you set what you want and you set what it is that you want in a future partner, whether if you want to have children, say it, don't be afraid. You want to have children, you want to have a family, you want to have these things, talk about them, right? And your timeline doesn't have to look like anyone else's. This is a beautiful life, and you don't have to go what everyone else is doing. But if you want something, whether it's marriage, whether it's this and that, make sure that it's what you want and you are intentional about it, because you're just gonna be desperate, like somebody lost out in the desert without water and just looking for whatever Coke can comes their way, right? So you can't do that. You always have to live your life intentionally, especially when you're single, and always set the intention for what you want. So singlehood is a powerful time, because once you're in a relationship, unless that person is equally yoked to you and you guys are just each other's just life force for each other, the wrong relationship will leave you feeling drained, tired, not like yourself, right? It'll feel like a lot of work, which relationships do take work and effort, right? But you don't want it to feel like, oh my God, I feel so drained by this person. I'm sick of this person. That's the last thing you want. So make sure that you are giving yourself, right? It all starts from within. You give yourself love, you give yourself joy, you give yourself a stable foundation so that whoever comes into your life, you won't be starving for them. You'll know that they're the right one, and you can enjoy your time with them. They're going to be somebody who adds to your life, doesn't take away, is not a vampire. So singlehood is something to be enjoyed. It is not something that you have to feel bad about. And I want you to enjoy it, my loves. This is a beautiful time. Romanticize your time. Make it a time of growth. Make it a time of evolution. Make it a time of beauty. And you will see all the good things that will come and be made out of it. And I look back on my single time, and I look back on it like in a good way, because I loved it. I enjoyed it. And it just felt so beautiful how everything, the timeline of everything in my own journey has gone. It's really beautiful, and I only wish that for you, and I wish you so many beautiful things, and know that you are worthy of good things. And if you don't feel like you are worthy of a beautiful, good relationship in the future, that means you have healing to do, because you are worthy of it. You deserve it. And a lot of times we have to heal and grow as a person and evolve in order for us to bring in good people and be surrounded by good people. Let go of those exes and those people that are trying to come back into your life. Block their numbers, block your ex. I don't care if it looks petty, block them. Out of sight, out of mind. You don't need that old energy in your life. Focus on the future, focus on the present, focus on being now that woman or that man or whoever you are, being that person of your dreams. Be that person now. Don't put it off into the future. Bring that person here now. Make sure your habits, your morning routines, your daily routines, all of it aligns with being a person who is enjoying and happy in life. Not a person who is weak or waiting, or somebody who doesn't want to be whatever it is, right? Be the person who you want to be in the future. Be them now. Bring it here to the present, and you'll see how things will change. Your daily habits, the way you go about your day, all of that adds up through time. It's called the compound effect. And that is what's going to create change for you in the future. And a month, 2 months, 6 months from now, things are going to look so different for you if you start today. Right now, I want you to commit to yourself and commit to making your life beautiful and enjoyable and so powerful for you. Making, your life just so juicy and so beautiful and enjoyable. Don't fall into the mundane. Don't feel like you're not good enough or whatever. Don't listen to those voices. People who tell you should be in a relationship. Oh, when are you getting married? No. All of that. Leave it. It's not for you. Instead, pick up what feels good and what feels right and what feels empowering. And surround yourself with good people, right? That's really important too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you enjoyed it, please hit thumbs up. Let me know if you liked it. Leave me your comments down below. Where are you right now in your journey? How is singlehood for you? What has helped you enjoy singlehood? Let's share each other's knowledge and our experiences to help each other out. And just know I'm testament that doesn't matter how your life was going or what you've been through, or you're single, know that singlehood is a beautiful thing. And when you commit to it as a beautiful experience for growth and change and evolution, it will bring in the most beautiful things that you could ever imagine. So have a beautiful day, have a blessed week, and always remember this, my beautiful angels, no matter who you may be in this life, no matter what you may be going through or what you look like, or your single status or your relationship status, always remember this: your true beauty, your true worth, and your true power always come from within. No one can take that away from you. I love you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.